Welcome back. All right, so yeah, I'm back on the set. I'm wearing one of my favorite geeky jerseys that I have. I get all these through Geeky Jerseys. This is Tuscan Raiders, and it has the nerdiest name ever. I put the name on the back of the Tuscan Raider that clocked Luke Skywalker in the original Star Wars. Aurora. So there you go. So ultimate geeky, and yet I didn't take this when we went to Disney. Why didn't I take this when we went to Disney? And then this, when we go to Disney this summer, it's going to be like 40 degrees Celsius. I'm not going to be able to wear jerseys. I didn't plan this through. You know what? I'm depressed now. I'm going to go to bed. I'm kidding. So I wanted to talk about something that got mentioned a lot on the channel, the other channel, the other day. So my wife takes a picture of me, and it was legit. When Game 2 was going to overtime between Florida and Carolina, all I could think was this is going to go to 7 overtimes. This is going to go on forever. And so I went into her laundry room and just dropped onto the floor face down and kept saying I don't want to do this again because it goes on for a long time, right? And shakes a picture, and I wasn't wearing a hat, so that means people are like, he's bald. Yeah. So this is the interesting thing. First off, for me, it's not news. I remember I was in grade 12. And there was this girl Charity I sat with, and I thought she was cute, and I thought she was cute for years. And I mean, we went to elementary school together and everything. She's now happily married and a grandmother and everything because we're old. She's still very pretty though, and I still like interacting with her here and there on Facebook. But the reality is that this girl that I thought I'm like, oh man, this is great. I get to sit next to her, and she turns to me in grade 12. She looks in my head and goes, "Oh my gosh, you're going bald." And she said it loud enough that, well, she said, "Oh, you're losing your hair." And of course the class turns around and looks at me, and I was like, "Yeah." So the whole male pattern baldness thing, it's a thing. And it runs in both sides of my family. So when I was growing up, there was my grandfather, who didn't have hair. There was my grandfather on the other side of the family, also not really much hair. There was my dad. What my dad did with his, he tried to fool people, and I will never, ever, ever do this. He grew it long on one side and then pulled it over, and if people are like, "Well, comb over." His was kind of more of an ice cream swirl on top of his head, and then he'd drive, and he liked to have the windows open, so it was like his head was waving at people, and it just, yeah. And I remember looking over at him. He was driving one day and thinking, "I'm never gonna do that." And I'd always worn hats. Hats were a thing. I was always told, if you wear a hat, you're going to go bald. And my answer to that was, I'm going bald already. So, psh. The one thing is, we always get it kind of pushed at us that you're less of a man if your hair falls out, which I find really kind of odd. I do, because like I'm not really trying to impress anybody. I'm happily married. There's no reason for me to try to impress anybody with having hair. I'm not sure how impressive that would be. I know there are treatments. They're expensive treatments, and they're temporary. So if you go off those treatments, your hair will still fall out. A lot of the transplants, painful, not necessarily going to give you the results you want. I saw some of the horror stories with that too, where people would get hair moved up to the front, and then your hair keeps falling out. So now you've got this line at the front. At any rate, and I know there's new things they do as well, but I really don't care. So once every couple of months, I cut all the rest of the hair off. I cut it really, really fine. I usually get the comments too of, well, why don't you shave your head? Because I'd really rather not. There's a lot of, it is a lot of work, and you kind of need to do it daily, and I don't really have any interest in that. There was one comment I saw, just let it go. Let what go? I don't have, and again, coming back to my dad, he had a ponytail. He had a ponytail at one point, and I'm like, Dad, there's nothing, and you can't, so I keep that in mind. My hair, I don't let it grow very long. Like right now, it's starting to bother me, and I'm going to cut it off. And whenever we go on holidays, I cut my hair before we go. Usually cut it right before Christmas, that kind of thing. But during the NHL playoffs, it's not really a key thing that I worry about. But it is one of those things that, yeah, it happens. And it happens to a lot of guys, and it's not a big deal. I think that what we get with advertising now is that it tries to make you feel bad about yourself, so you'll buy things. And I know that's not news with advertising, but as I get older, I've realized that's more of what it is. Where I'm watching a commercial, I'm like, why are you trying to make me feel bad? Why are you trying to make me feel bad right now when I'm happy with how I look? I'm happy with how I am. The treadmill every day, which I know I always get the comments too of, well, you can't just do the cardio. I don't lift weights. It's not going to happen. It's not a thing. I don't do it. Um, and so for me, it's jogging. I've always enjoyed jogging. I've always enjoyed doing it. There are days I don't want to do that either. There are days where I'm like, I'd rather not. But I know that I feel better if I do. I have more energy if I do, and I feel healthier. I know it's helped my heart. When I started doing the treadmill, my heart rate would go pretty high, and now it is steady. So it doesn't matter how fast I jog or whatever, my heart rate stays steady, and that's why I do it, right? Because I know that's something that runs in the family. I'm a little more worried about than the head is that there have been men in my family with heart problems, and so that's something I have to keep my eye on. Far, far, far more important to me than whether or not I've lost my hair. Um, and it was something again that I made peace with really not long out of high school. Charity helped, so thanks for that. If you see this, Charity, I don't think she watches any of my videos, but at any rate, it really is. It's not a big deal, but TV makes it seem like it's a big deal, and cultural norms in certain cultures make it a big deal. I've noticed in some cultures it's not even considered a problem, but in others, yeah. Oh, look at that. Can't take him seriously. He's bald. Okay. There's a lot of rich people that wear hair pieces, which I've never even considered. The one thing I thought about, there was one time where for Halloween, I thought it would be fun for me to do videos without a hat on and have a wig. And so I ordered a wig. I did. I ordered a wig. And I put it on and I'm like, I can't. There's no way in hell I could keep a straight face. It's not going to happen. There's no chance I could get through a minute and a half with this ridiculous looking hair on my head. It's not going to happen. So, I tried. I tried. And I realized I just look ridiculous. Um, so yeah, and I find it interesting that it can be made such a big deal of. I mean, I'm 50 years old, and it happens. And a lot of the people that laugh about it, it'll probably happen to them. And I think we spend a lot of money trying to make sure that our hair doesn't fall out when it probably will, anyways. A lot of money. I've noticed too as I get older, it's becoming more and more apparent to me just how much plastic surgery we see now with people trying to maintain that youthful appearance as they get older. But the one thing, and this is something I've noticed, is there are some that either haven't had work done or they've had very minor work done. And I feel like the people who've had very minor work done usually end up looking better than the ones who've had a ton done. And I feel bad for them at the same time because we really are in a society now where looks are pushed as being the most important thing. And with Instagram, with filters, with TikTok, it definitely has made it so that beauty is the thing, right? And I guess the hair falling out part is part of what makes you unattractive. Again, as long as Yvonne finds me attractive, it really doesn't matter. And she apparently does. I keep asking her why. I don't get an answer other than laughter, but I mean, she does, so that's really what matters. But it is an interesting conversation. I don't know that we have enough. Just that we get pushed in this direction to decide we're not good enough and how we look isn't good enough. And with internet feedback, there is definitely enough commenters to make it like you're terrible. Like I have seen people say, "Oh, this person's this and this," like talk about how they look terrible. They're whoa, so ugly and so fat. And I look and I think, what? And sometimes TV shows make that worse. I know that when I'm watching it, I'll get into like with Friends. All of the fat Monica jokes have aged really really poorly, and it makes it like Monica Geller wasn't really a person until she lost weight. She was just a caricature, and then she lost weight, and now she's fine. Um, which I find odd. I don't at all agree with that whatsoever. But again, that was 20 some years ago, and things were were definitely different at that point in time. Not saying that it was right, but at that point we could kind of turn a blind eye to it. But we definitely have seen a shift in the way that it's portrayed on some level in terms of aging and people just looking different, different body types. But there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go. The expectation that we can all look like, the athletes we watch on TV, the movie stars, we can't. A lot of them don't look like they look in those shows either. We've seen the paparazzi pictures of, look at this person on the beach, and it'll be an actor or an actress, and yeah, they've put on 20 pounds. They still look a heck of a lot better than most of us do. And so when you have, the gossip rags going, well, this person looks awful, look at them. It's like they still look a heck of a lot better than 99% of the people I meet every. What are you saying about the rest of society? It's an unrealistic expectation. And a lot of the advertisements will give you an unrealistic expectation too. Um, I'm stunned by how many different antidepressants have commercials. How many different meds there are for basically everything now. It's insane. It's crazy. But that's society now, and it's just one of those things that we deal with, and all of that. But at any rate, I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Again, I don't have any issue with my hair loss and all of that at this point, but if anybody else does, I'm sorry. That's just one of those things. I'm happy with what I'm doing and where I'm at. And just in case anybody's wondering, what cat is he petting? It's Shadow, because he had to be in here with me. He started meowing at the door when he realized I was in here, and then he wanted out too. And I'm like, no, 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 you're in here now, because I don't want to have to start over or have another cat coming in. But at any rate, let me know your thoughts. And again, this is just more of a general thing that I think that the beauty standards that we have right now are insane. Because again, if you follow these beautiful people on Instagram and TikTok and even on YouTube, they don't look in real life like they do with the filters on. It's just not real. Which I do applaud. Some of them will do that. They will say, here I am without the filters. But then the next picture will be very heavily filtered in many cases, and so it kind of defeats the purpose. I think we should normalize people looking normal, but maybe people that make less money when everybody is happy with how they look. At any rate, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.